Welcome back to Dynamics. Okay, so my first semi-political video in a while, and it's of course talking about the shooting that just happened, which is an unfortunate conversation to have, but we are. So we had a individual who had previously attended I think it was a private Christian school, because you don't have public Christian schools. So a private Christian school when they were in high school or grade school. It sounded like the kids were really young. So this child must have attended, or this adult when they were a child must have attended this school. Going on what, like 2 decades ago, because the individual was in her 20s, his 20s. He was a transgender man. So when he was in school, he was a she. So anyways, so the it seems like that the individual was upset about laws changing in Tennessee having to do with transgenderism. And so they decided to take out that frustration on the school they went to when they were a little kid. I don't know what makes a person think like that. I don't know what causes a person to feel that far gone, that they feel like they need to do something like that. It's mental illness, and there's just no explaining it, right? I don't think we can dispute that there was mental illness involved in this shooting. Some shootings, maybe it could be in dispute, but really, I mean, if you're going to go into a school and start shooting people up, there has to be something wrong with you. So, but this one, it's pretty straightforward. And then, of course, the usual thing happens, and people come out and they blame the guns, and say we need gun control, and then the other people are like, no, we don't need gun control. We need help with the we need either more mental health assistance, or we need to be able to look more into what's causing the this sort of reaction where people think that the best response is to go out and commit these shootings. And of course, they have their typical like back and forth fight. And this one's kind of extra because it's the group that encourages this type of violence. The left, encourages this type of violence against Christians and against people who they think are oppressing them. And so they encourage it, and then when it happens, they still blame the people that were the victims. They victim blame. Say it's their fault, and say that that guns need to be controlled to prevent them from committing more violence. I mean, how else can you define it? That's what they're saying. We are going to commit violence, so you need gun control to keep us from committing violence. So anyways, so one of the things that I do want to address is the whole AR-15 controversy. Apparently, people just jumped to the conclusion that that's the gun that was being used. There may have been one that was there. We don't know if that's what the shooter was using, because the video shows them holding different guns, and we don't know what bullets did what they did. AR-15s are not to blame. AR-15s have been around since the 50s. AR-15s in the form that we have them, the general public in that form, are not military weapons. There is a version of the AR-15. I've been educated on this a little bit by a replier on Twitter, who helped me understand it a little better. That AR-15s are the base for the M16s, which the military does use, but the versions that the civilians have are not that version. It can become that version if you do modifications, but my understanding is none of these shootings have used that sort of modification. They've just used a standard AR-15 that has been around since the 50s. And so if you look at statistics on these shootings, there has been a rise um, since the 50s, obviously. And so it's more of a recent um, issue that we've come into. So to say that it's the AR-15's fault, even though it's been around for 70 years now, 80 years, that because this recent spike in school shootings blame a gun that's been around since the 50s, I don't think that works. That's not the cause of these shootings. There's other causes of these shootings, not the gun. Um, People just want to use the shootings. They want to use the deaths of these people to try to control the populace, to try to control the people, and to take away the Second Amendment rights that they have to defend themselves. And so that's what we see. We see people using this incident for that, an incident that was caused by someone who they encouraged violence in. They said, you should fight back for your rights that they think that people are trying to take away. And that this is what happens when you encourage violence. You run into a situation where this person obviously was not mentally stable. They take all that they're seeing and the encouragement to violence, and they act on it. Is it the fault of the people encouraging violence? No, not really. They shouldn't be doing it. They shouldn't be encouraging violence, but it's the individual's fault. But that's what happens. You encourage violence, someone who's unstable comes out and commits violence. Hopefully, we can get to a better solution on this. The mental health is a big thing. We definitely need to improve the way that we handle mental health in this country. We need to stop inciting the violence. We need to stop pushing the divide that's causing these shootings, from left or right. We need to try to come back together because, this I'm already seeing people say, what, we can't get gun control because Republicans won't let us, and so we need to force it. They need to force gun control, and so my response is, so you do want gun control. You can't pass it through the normal process. You're unwilling to move to a place that has it already. You don't want to go to Canada where they don't have the Second Amendment and gun control is very strict. You don't want to move to Europe, to one of the European countries with gun control. You don't want to, do that sort of thing. So you don't want to move. You can't get it past the normal way. You don't like guns. I would assume you don't like guns. You want them banned. So you can't use guns to force people to agree with you. So what is your option? Well, that's what my other videos are about. The national divorce, the civil separation. I think that what you're calling for, I don't think you're calling for a civil war. I'd like to think that because you don't like guns. You can't fight a civil war without guns. So what I think you mean is a civil separation, because that's the only way that you can start over and create a new constitution that gets rid of the Electoral College, that gets rid of the Second Amendment, and that goes to a more of a pure democracy as opposed to our representative republic, our representative government, which is not really a democracy. I know that's, getting into the weeds of it that everybody tries to do. Either way, but if you want more of a pure democracy and you want to get rid of the Second Amendment and you want to get rid of the Electoral College, you can't do that under the current Constitution. You need to start your own Constitution, because you can't. Even if you could get amendments passed, you wouldn't get what you're looking for, because there's still the Constitution in place. You can amend the Constitution, but it doesn't get you all the things that you're wanting to get. Anyways, so basically, you need a new Constitution. So why not consider that whole civil separation thing? Sounds like you want it to. Then we can go our own separate ways. We can be happy with our Second Amendment, be happy without it, and we can both be happy, right? All right, everybody. So that's going to be it for me talking about this. It's a sad, sad thing. As they say, my thoughts and prayers are with the victims. I wish that this hadn't happened. But I'm also not going to say that, well, because this happened, that we should do this unrelated thing, which is give the government more power and give away our rights. Not going to. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good day.